Hello and welcome to National Focus. I'm your presenter Mervin. Thank you for joining us. Coming up, the National Youth Policy in final stages of review. Approval granted for Phase 2 of the Juvenile Justice Reform Project, and the Dominica celebrates the 22nd Annual World Teachers Week. Stay with us for details of these and other stories after this.
Children, yell and tell if someone tries to abuse you. Tell until someone believes you and they do something about it.
For more information on child abuse or to report suspected cases on child abuse, contact the Social Welfare Division on 33 Great Marlborough Street or call 266-3020 or 266-3080.
Welcome back. October 3rd to the 7th is being recognized as Teachers Week, with World Teachers Day being highlighted on Wednesday, 5th October 2016. The Honorable Minister for Education, Peter Seja, affirmed it is an immense honor for teachers to be recognized for the contributions they make towards the development of children and, by extension, society. The Education Minister took the opportunity to wish all teachers Happy Teachers Week.
Teachers, we are aware that you play an extraordinary role in the lives of our children in their formative years, and the impact of their development cannot be understated. As government, we recognize this important role of the teacher and continue to pledge our support for the personal and professional development of all teachers who dedicate themselves to the development of our country's future.
Honorable Seja asserted that his ministry is fully aware of the challenges faced by those in the teaching profession. He applauds them for their hard work.
To assure them of our appreciation for the important work that is done on a daily basis in classrooms around Dominica to shape the lives of our children. We are fully cognizant of the challenges faced by our teaching professionals, yet they conscientiously and with admirable dedication take up the mantle to teach and mold our children into responsible citizens.
He acknowledged that teachers must be supported in their efforts to teach effectively if they are to create productive, well-adjusted members of society. The Honorable Minister vowed that government will continue to promote the professional development of teachers to provide them with the adequate tools needed to impart knowledge and skills in the classroom.
As we recognize the incredible effort of our hard-working teachers this week, I wish to encourage all to take time to reflect on our personal and professional journeys. Teachers, it is always timely to remind yourselves why you became a teacher in the first place and to recommit to the mission to help students develop holistically in keeping with the vision of the Ministry of Education. Each child succeeds.
As he congratulated the teachers, he appealed to them to take all opportunities to become better professionals, stronger leaders, and more effective teachers of students in their charge. Teachers Appreciation Day is recognized on Thursday, 6 October this year, and Teachers Rally on Friday, the 7th. A promise made by the Honorable Prime Minister and the Minister for Finance, Dr. Roosevelt Skerrit, to increase non-contributory pension for citizens 70 and over by 50% is being fulfilled. This commitment was made by the Dominica leader during his 2016 budget address. The increase was paid to the beneficiaries at the end of September 2016, as was promised. The government of Dominica also announced its plans to discuss with the Dominica Social Security the possibility of increasing the minimum pension paid by the DSS. it was expected that the agreement would have been reached by January 2017. However, government is pleased to publish that the agreement has been reached with the DSS much earlier. The increases the minimum pension also became effective this September. Those who are paid fortnightly would have received their first payment. This increase means that those DSS pensioners who are 70 years and over will receive the full $300 from the DSS and will not be receiving any further amount from the government non-contributory program. The National Youth Policy is in its final stages of review. On Wednesday, October 5th, the Youth Development Division of the Ministry of Youth hosted the final national consultation of the Youth Policy. Minister for Youth, the Honorable Justina Charles, in addressing the ceremony, highlighted the importance of youth input in the review of the policy.
The Youth Policy came on board in 2004 and it was tabled in Parliament in 2004. So that is like 12 years ago. 12 years ago, many of you were not part of the formation or establishment of the National Youth Policy. But today you have an opportunity to be part of it. At the end of the exercise, we cannot say it is a government document. It is a document to guide the work of the government and the work of the young people, things that are related to the young people. But most importantly, you have been part of it from the inception, the review from the inception.
The theme of this consultation was Agenda 2030, from Rhetoric to Action. Chief Youth Development Officer John Roach explained the importance of that theme.
This well thought of theme is not only relevant for Caribbean Youth Day, but serves as a mantra to those who are charged with the responsibility of providing an enabling environment for the empowerment of the youth. It is a theme that blends well with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. It challenges all youth development stakeholders and strategic partners to pay more attention to what we usually refer to as the most valuable resource of a nation, the youth. From rhetoric to action demands that it is time we stop paying lip service to the youth. It is time we stop taking the youth for granted. It is time we set our national development priorities right and invest more in our youth.
Roach believes that the review of the policy is a clear indication of a renewed interest in youth development.
This theme also aligns quite well with the review of the National Youth Policy of the Commonwealth of Dominica, as we renew our commitment to youth development into a new development era for the next 15 years. We are being reminded that the youth themselves have a critical role to play in shaping the tomorrow they desire and envision, and must therefore be granted the space to do so in every stage of the process. A process that starts by listening to the youth and progresses into the active engagement and ownership of their destiny.
He revealed that almost 1,000 young people participated in 9 district consultations, where a list of issues such as unemployment, child abuse, drug abuse, and alcohol abuse, among others, were presented. He, however, noted that the division was impressed with the practical and realistic recommendations presented by the youth, and the division has partnered with the Central Statistical Division to conduct a national youth survey to gather important data on the youth situation in Dominica, which will be analyzed within the next few months by a technical team to drive the new youth policy forward. Following the consultation, GIS's Kadisha St. Louis spoke with consultant Henry Charles, who spoke on the various meetings which led up to the national consultation.
We are here with Mr. Henry Charles, consultant with the Youth Development Division. So Mr. Charles, can you maybe give us a brief rundown of what has been happening during the past consultations that you've had?
Well, first of all, I need to say that a critical phase of developing a national youth policy, if you want the policy to be evidence-based, is the whole data gathering. And so our data gathering focus on two areas, to collection of quantitative data as well as qualitative data. For most of the quantitative data, that would have been done through a household survey that was done and coordinated by the statistics department. It allowed for us to also gather some qualitative data, but we augmented this with the community consultations that allowed us to get the perspectives, direct perceptions, concerns, issues of young people. One could summarize it as young people who had a deep concern of them playing a more significant role in the development of the community. They were concerned that there is need for them for support to build their leadership skills. There were discussions around issues of sustainable employment, issues of opportunity for economic empowerment. There were many issues that were raised about helping build the resilience in the community, because they recognize that many of the communities were experiencing social problems and there were issues and ills. And so they felt there was a need to support them in building not just their personal and individual resilience, but the resilience of their communities and the organizations to deal with it.
And in the final national consultation today, what is it that you all hope to achieve?
Well, the national consultation today, I think, is going to be like the climax of it all. We're hoping that a lot of the raw material that has come out there and what is going to come out today will be crystallized in a way. That is why we have been very careful in ensuring that we bring on board some of Dominica's resource persons, some of Dominica's finest sons and daughters who could play the role of facilitator and resource persons in the specific thematic areas. So they'll help the young people, crystallize some of the raw discussion to shape it into what can begin to form as policy directives and policy imperatives. That is where today's is going to be.
Wonderful. And the final step after this consultation is?
Well, after this consultation is to finalize the draft policy document, which we can then subject it to the necessary processes of review and approval afterwards. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Charles.
Yes.
You're watching National Focus. More when we return.
Let's have some fun, eh?
I'm not ready for your kind of fun yet.
But everybody else is doing it.
But I'm not everybody else. I'm me, and I want to do well in school.
Well, you definitely get an A for attitude.
I plan to get an A in life, and then I'll think of your kind of fun.
So what am I to do in the meantime?
You'll survive.
Say no when you're not ready. Use condoms when you are.
Welcome back. The Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, IICA, is conducting a 2.5-day workshop on building resilience through climate-smart agriculture. The workshop, dubbed Building Resilience in Agricultural Strategies in the Commonwealth of Dominica, has brought together participants from the Division of Agriculture, the Forestry Division, Waiti-Kubuli National Trail, and the private consultants, as well as service providers that support agriculture and agricultural development. IICA Technical Specialist Ken Kopel says the impact of natural disasters on agriculture and the general social well-being of persons, especially in the rural territories, necessitates these types of workshops.
We at IICA recognize the importance of recognizing the issue of climate change, and we cannot overemphasize the importance of paying attention to the issues relating to climate change. And part of our effort is to build resilience in the various agricultural subsectors. One of the ways of starting the process is to really identify our vulnerabilities as it relates to climate change, as well as to identify the various adaptive or adaptation options we may have to support or to reduce on our vulnerabilities, as well as to build the necessary resilience.
The workshop is being facilitated by IECA's Agriculture and Climate Change Specialist, Daniela Medina.
We've applied this methodology more than 50 times across the Latin American continent and the Caribbean, training a great number of technical staff. And it is a very strategic area in our program because we acknowledge the importance to integrate climate change adaptation into development planning. Of course, this is a really complex issue, especially when we're talking about the agricultural sector. That's why in this methodology and the work we will be doing for the next 2.5 days, you'll realize that we're gonna take an approach that's very systematic, and we're gonna analyze the sector step by step.
Participants will also identify the vulnerabilities of the agricultural sector and identify and prioritize adaptation options. They will also create monitoring and evaluation frameworks and integrate climate change adaptation overall in the Ministry of Agriculture. Topics covered by the workshop will also target the National Agriculture Policy and Action Plan. Medina set a clear expected outcome for the workshop.
We expect that at the end of this workshop, we would have created a roadmap and a clear guide on the entry points and the main aspects that need to be considered to climate-proof this strategy and plan.
Director of Agriculture Ricky Bruman says Dominica's agriculture policy must reflect the capability to be climate smart.
We have to ensure that our policies are tight in terms of climate proofing and being climate smart, that our strategies or strategic plans or operational plans are looked at from this perspective.
Over the past 3 years, IECA has had a number of programs to build technical capacity of various agriculture-related organizations. After Tropical Storm Erica, IECA also supported Dominica in a rapid response action which promoted adaptive options as it relates to land degradation or land management, drought, and managing excess water on land. These technologies are necessary to reduce likeliness of natural disasters affecting agriculture. The workshop ends this Thursday. The Organization of the Eastern Caribbean States and the United States Agency for International Development has granted approval for the commencement of Phase 2 of the Juvenile Justice Reform Project. This information was revealed by the Permanent Secretary within the Ministry of Social Services, Family and Gender Affairs, Karen Prevost, at the first ever forensic interview training on child abuse and neglect. During the training, one participant inquired about the arrangements that would be made for juveniles who have committed crimes. Prevost said that developments are already in the pipeline for a juvenile reform project.
Once these bills are enforced, it means therefore that Magistrate Augustus would then need to provide other diversion programs would be one. The secure residential facility, which she can explain further, is another area that we're looking at, and place of safety for children. I can tell you already that the Ministry of Social Services has presented a proposal to the OECS Secretariat and the USAID under the Juvenile Justice Reform Project, Part 2. We have actually gotten approval for Part 2 or Phase 2 of JJRP. So this is something that we are looking at under this facility.
The Permanent Secretary told the stakeholders at the workshop that the Social Services Ministry has already produced a proposal and is currently in search of a location for a secure residential facility.
Operation Youthquake has already received support from USAID under JJRP 1, and we are looking at how we can incorporate Operation Youthquake as a place of safety. But a place of safety for children who are in conflict with the law would be different from a secure residential facility, which would be, well, I don't want to use the wrong terminology, but which would be where children would be sentenced to, as opposed to being in the prison system. So we are working on these things.
Prevost informed that the ministry will soon conduct public sensitization of the family bills to inform the community about the rights of children, juvenile justice and sentencing. She continued that the ministry will also present the options that will be available once those bills are enforced.
The government has given the commitment to table these bills in Parliament very soon. So in the budget address, you would have heard the Prime Minister make reference to these bills and the Minister for Social Services. So we have actually received the final draft from the OECS. It has gone through a process of consultation over a period of a number of years, but we are at the last stage. So what we are doing now at the Ministry of Social Services is really putting the systems in place that will be needed for the enforcement of the bills. Because if the bill is enforced and we don't have the mechanisms in place, then we can't enforce the bills.
At the next sitting of Parliament, the revised Sexual Offences Act will be tabled, followed by the Maintenance Bill. And that's news. Coming up next, your tip of the day.
There is a silent, invisible killer in our midst, a killer which largely goes unnoticed as it plies its deadly trade. Its name is secondhand tobacco smoke, which has a far greater impact on persons inhaling this poison than on smokers themselves. Secondhand tobacco smoke is especially detrimental in public places and negatively impacts our national health as well as public health expenditure. Stop this invisible killer now. Say no to secondhand tobacco smoke in public places. A public health message brought to you by the Ministry of Health and the Pan American Health Organization.
Cicero is the original Kalinago name for this, the largest of the Amazon parrots. It is endemic to Dominica, being found nowhere else in the world. It is the ancient remnant of a species of parrot once found in South America that came to Dominica thousands of years ago. The Mont Diablotin National Park protects watersheds and thousands of species of plants and animals, but perhaps most particularly, it protects the main habitat of the national bird. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. We always welcome your suggestions and comments. Drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm or visit our website news.gov.dm. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/GIS News Dominica, and follow our Twitter at GIS Dominica. You can also catch up on past National Focus newscasts on our GIS Dominica YouTube channel. Live streaming is also available on our YouTube channel 24 hours a day. From all of us here on the news production team, I'm Mervin Matthew. Thanks for watching, and join us again next time for National Focus.